What's up? In this segment, I'm going to introduce a character called Hyperiel. It's kind of known to be the Christ for the AUM universe. Christ meaning the more Messiah type. It's going to be done a little differently for us. Like how Anakin was just kind of like Luke was kind of like the Messiah type for Star Wars. In AUM, when you when you get into a certain point of our stories that's to come next few months, you're gonna see that it's always like this feeling that a much bigger conflict is about to be set up. And throughout the stories, you're gonna sense that. You're gonna sense it's like a conflict that's brewing, that everyone is kind of prepared, especially when you're getting into the later homework. The homework that's coming out this year, the end of this year, it's not. It is. You would feel it, but it's not gonna be as obvious yet because the Ohm universe is coming up now. It's gonna be the Ohm story is coming out now. It's gonna be from, let's say, universe A. A lot of the conflict is gonna be universe B. So universe B is gonna really take place a lot of next year, like January on. But you will feel a little bit of that conflict within this universe, like the stories from this universe. Hyperreal is an interesting character because we call him the Christ of our universe because he's no question the most powerful. When we meet Dr. Lipton is the most powerful for now. And the way it's supposed to go, Dr. Lipton is supposed to train him for a conflict that's immeasurable in a sense. And it's gonna be interesting because Hyperreal is a different type of being. When we introduce the seedlings and reformers, we see that they have to most seedlings and reformers have to do certain type of spiritual work to achieve changes in their blood chemistry, which will make their powers manifest. Hyperboreal is one of the first characters, or the only character in Ohm, that he kind of his manifested powers come from tragedy, and from you could even say that he's a Kundalini awakening. But it's done in such a way where it doesn't make any sense when you look at everyone else. So as they go and start to scan him and analyze him, they realize they don't know where his origin really is cosmically. And in a sense, the real truth behind it is it's kind of great. It gets into real life hermetic, in terms of real life hermetic spirituality. Where in hermetic spirituality, we understand the human being goes through evolution. So first they start off as a mineral, then they go as a plant, then they go as an animal, and then they become a human. Usually they have to go through incarnations, several incarnations in the zodiac to awaken themselves, right? So by the time you're all looking at that, you're talking about many incarnations, sometimes 16, 20, 25, 30 before you even wake up. So most seedlings in our universe or reformers have been incarnated 25, 30 incarnations, and then they decide to do the spiritual work, the yoga, the alchemy to transform to the next stage, right? Hyperreal, it's actually this is his first incarnation, and in a sense, or at least his first incarnation as a human, I should say. And it's interesting because usually you got to go through so many incarnations as a human being to be able to question the physical world and to wake up. He's born as a human the first time and is set in, and then he's kind of like cast in this position to be the leader of the seedlings, or the seedling, or to be the seedling of all seedlings. And in a way, it puts him in an interesting, predicament because his power really, the first thing the person sees is that his superconsciousness was programmed in such a way that the subconscious is affected. So even though he has unlimited power, the power shifts basically depending on who he's fighting, similar to Dr. Lipton, but a little bit worse because with Dr. Lipton's power might go off, like might go down completely. Hyperreal's power doesn't. It would always go down just enough where he has a little bit more power than the opponent he's fighting, for the most part. So for the most part, he's good. He could handle most opponents if he's talking about powerful power. But what comes in is the emotional standpoint. See, spiritually, most human beings don't realize, when we incarnate, even if you don't remember your past life memories consciously, you do subconsciously. So there's a certain type of control that you have that somebody who didn't go through the animal stage of incarnations doesn't. So, for instance, I have a dog and cat, right? You put the food down in the same bowl, they rush to each other, right? And whoever gets the bowl first wins, right? Animals do that. You see a piece of steak, a dog could be like, "Hey, I'm hungry, I'm full, I'm sorry," and they would still eat the steak, and they'll eat it sometimes so much that their stomach could bust open. I mean, that's rare, but it does happen because that's the animal mind. most human beings have already went through that. So we understand how to act. Like if we have to go to the bathroom, we not pull our pants down the street and just go to the bathroom in front of everyone. So there's certain things that we learn because we incarnated as an animal. Now we're going through the human stages. He never went through that. So it's going to be interesting because when you see him fighting, he might be going through some emotional things that he shouldn't have, and now weaken him for the fight. And that has to be done because in a way, when you look at it, some of his powers are manifested already, like where other seedlings and reformers have to work. His is already manifested, but then it's manifested in such a way where you see, no, what they're calling powers is not even, it's kind of like being able to see and hear, and he could see and hear. So the powers, like, it was almost like, let's say you have telepathy, telekinesis. A regular person might call that a power. For beings like him, that's just like senses. But because he never went through the mineral, the metal, I mean, not the metal, the mineral, the plant, the animal stages in life, that's his biggest weakness, in a sense, where being able to control his emotional states, especially since his superconscious and subconscious is programmed to only be a little bit stronger than the opponent he's fighting, it makes it hard. That's a challenge, in a sense. And he comes in, and he's the most unique reformer seedling because he's the most inexperienced from previous incarnations, but even from this incarnation. Most seedlings and reformers in our universe have been working for a long time to get the gifts that they have. Where his came from an abrupt Kundalini experience, which does happen sometimes spiritually, extremely rare. It's much more rare than people think. And even if, and I enjoyed making this character because so many people want those experiences, but they don't really realize, even if it comes, you still need to be trained. You still need structure to keep it. So even though he has all this potential, Dr. Lipton is still going to be his mentor and the only way he's going to be able to survive. So much so that even when the psychics see the future, they always see him dying, in a sense, in the conflict to come. So it's definitely symbolic of a lot of things, a lot of real potentials that could happen. Not so much in terms of people getting gifts without using them. But I like Hyberiel because he's symbolic more of the evolution of the mineral mind, the plant mind, the animal mind, the human mind. And then eventually the human mind being able to shoot to the super consciousness, which is almost like an angel. So it's almost going from mineral to plant to animal to human to angel. So, I think this character is going to be an interesting character, and we have him. He's kind of like, when you think of him, probably more our Superman, if I had to describe. No question. I think he's gonna really, his stuff is gonna really come out more next year, but I think he represents the conflict that will be this kind of boogeyman that will always take place in own work, where you would feel there's something else going on much bigger. So hope that helps. Till next time, peace.